Yeah, 1 2 mic test. Hello, yeah. 1 2 mic test. Hello, yeah. 1 2 mic test. Hello, yeah. Sound be cool now? Bana. Alright, okay. Talk, man.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Madam Chair, Commissioners, Lead Council, Assistant Lead Council, viewers and listeners, good morning and welcome to our daily proceedings of this Commission of Inquiry into Local Government Councils and related matters. Without wasting time, I have the honor to yield the floor to Madam Chair for our next item on our today's agenda. Madam Chair, over to you.
I will now call on Honorable Sila to lead us in Muslim prayers and Honorable Joyner to lead us in Christian prayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وآل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وآل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Almighty God and Father, the one whom we adore, we bow in silence at your feet today asking for mercy. Forgive our misdeeds. We commit ourselves into your care. Heal us from every infirmity. Take away shame, disgrace, and embarrassment from our midst. Enable us to be steadfast in our task and grant us divine grace and mercies as we continue to serve you with sincerity of heart today and forevermore. Amen.
Good morning, Mr. Witness. Welcome to this Commission of Inquiry to these local government councils and related matters. To start with, what is your religion?
Islam.
In which language do you wish to make your testimony?
Mandinko.
Okay. Do you wish to swear by the Holy Quran or make an affirmation?
Al-Qur'ano.
Okay.
The Quran.
Madam Chair, the witness wishes to swear by the Holy Quran. You hold the Holy Quran and repeat.
Ibe al-Qur'ano mutala na mem fo yesay wokang.
Your name, Ebrima. Foon. Okay, I,
Nte.
Ebrima Foon.
Ibrahima Foon.
Ibrahima Foon.
Do swear that
Mbenkalila ko.
I will speak the truth.
Mbeto nyale fola.
The whole truth.
Tonya damma.
And nothing
Andunte fen kota fola.
but the truth.
Fotonya damma.
So help me God.
Woto alama alayendema.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Numbara isisino. Yesedo kanini.
Madam Chair, the witness has been sworn. I now have the honor to hand over the witness to you. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Foon.
Akoy sama Mr. Foon.
You are
Good
welcome.
morning. Ibe bismillah ndila. Thank you.
Council, we may proceed.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson and Commissioners.
Akoy soma sirantio aning siranti kotangolu menu bijang.
And everyone present.
Aning momondi bijang.
Can you please tell us your name, sir?
Ito Fonyembang.
Ibrahima Foon.
My name is Ebrima Foon.
And your address?
Ibe siri mintole. Sukuta.
Your occupation, sir?
Ila doku mumuneti.
Dokuwal.
I'm not employed presently.
Did you at any time serve as a councillor of Janjanbureh Area Council?
Fo wato sodontale yedo ko ke Janjanbureh Area Council kake councilor tije. Yes.
Please give us the times or the period that you have served as a councillor.
Wo wato fonyen wato me tata councilor ya laje.
About 2018 kana 2023.
From 2018 to 2023.
2018.
Yes.
Which ward did you represent?
Ebe do ko la tundu jumale no wotumo
Janjanbureh.
Janjanbureh.
You gave a statement to
Ye kuma kan o fole nu
the investigators.
Ye même fo kisikisirlali ye kuma kan o me ya safe.
Ade.
Yes.
On the 19th of December 2023.
December karotil tan in kononto 2023. Yes.
If I show you the statement, will you be able to recognize it?
Ningo kaito kan safer ngulu be dame ngai tandila iba sutela le?
Ade.
Yes.
Have a look at that document and tell us whether that is the statement that you gave to the investigator.
Akoy kaito nyin jube ke wala ila kuma kangulu be wala to yemen di kisikisirlala. Yes.
And it appears as if there are attachments to that statement.
Ako abeko ko dul yen kafu kuma kangulu nyili safe male men safeta.
Ngol fanal jele.
Yes, I've seen them.
What documents are there?
Well, mum kaitil leti.
Nga follow menje womu follow up letter on chairman sick leave.
The first one I saw is a follow up to the chairman's sick leave.
And then?
No, Batala.
How many attachments are?
Request for regularization of my status as acting chairman.
Request for my request as acting chairman. He said the writings are not clear.
Okay, and then the other one?
Though.
General Council resolution for the removal of the chairman.
General Council resolution for the removal of the chairman.
And the last one?
Labango.
Removal of chairman.
The removal of the chairman.
Do you have the originals of these documents?
Ako nying kaitolu I follow lu menu de data follow be bulle bang.
Nena manyel soto.
I've never got these things in my possession, these documents.
So you have never had access to these documents?
Amonta nena manying kaitolu nena me isotong.
Kaito dolbi jang jikita ko nga wolje this past December 2023.
There are certain documents here I can remember that I saw them in this past December in 2023.
Where?
Ye Jamintole.
Janjanbureh Area Council.
At the Janjanbureh Area Council.
Very well. Let us have your statement.
Kaito ibu Murundila.
We apply to tender the statement of the witness.
Siedo la nyinkumakango sai ba tala ka dundi.
Ebrima Foon in.
Ebrima Foon la kumakangolu.
In evidence as an exhibit.
Kake siede kaitote.
The witness statement dated the 19th of December 2023 of Ebrima Foon is hereby is hereby admitted in evidence and marked as LGC/EF/JAC/001.
As the commission places.
Ila kuma kamul me kaito nyimendi la tanga munta yoleta sai ya londi le kake sedoti commission nyal dia mokono amunta sai sede kaiti lo ngolom.
Please tell us what your educational background is.
Sai afonye ila karangol londo adanta mintole ya follow min fa danta dame.
Amite Junior Secondary School ndanda waldo. Grade 9.
I completed my education at Armitage Junior Secondary School at grade 9.
Which year?
Sanjuma.
1996.
1996.
And after that, did you do any program, any diploma or any degree programs?
Biro botala ye karando kele bang membe ko diploma wala karam façon lu mem londi la fati.
Ani.
No.
While serving as a councilor at Janjanbureh Area Council,
Wato mebe councilor ya la Janjanbureh Area Council.
were you a member of any committees?
Fodum itata committee kono le committee olu menu be lorinji.
Ha.
Yes.
Please tell us about.
Afonyeng committee jumalem.
Okay. During 2018 ndunda Janjanbureh kaka counciloti.
Since I started working at the Janjanbureh Area Council in 2018,
Ntarta education committee le fanan kono.
I was within the education committee.
Woto fanan ntarta je nyameng.
How I was admitted into that committee,
Bring the committee or local.
when we were forming these committees,
It's like council be education committee atel labanda lola.
the education committee was the last committee to be formed.
Finance, establishment and development and others.
Finance, establishment, development, and other committees.
Yo wolle follow lota molbe ngiringirita wolle kam.
Those committees were the first committees which were formed, and a lot of people there were vying to be members of that committee.
Ntol dolbe sirin ko mambe tenkunding for education le labanda ntol mo nani menturaje.
We were sitting behind, abiding by our time. We were four who were left behind.
Ntol nata automatically ntol nata ke education committee la mold because committee or committee mo nani lam.
Automatically, we became the education committee members because every committee has 4 members.
So birimbe education.
So when I was within that education committee
mang effective bake.
that committee, the education committee, was not very effective.
Katu ntolbe council tumo na birin nata nang education committee.
When we were within the council, when we became members of this education committee,
mantra activity jamal solka because nte lafta menkela nu wolom kata rawno la ka regional kan karambul folo fanam be visit ka long karambun bundal be tembe du jumal to fonna karamdo dinol fawol e be karandula kendol soton kande mele be regional kan.
At that time, the education committee was not busy. There were very little activities that we were doing. As for my part, I wanted to go around to the schools, check the schools, and see the conditions existing there, and check out whether the children at the school were being educated properly or so. That was my intention at that time.
Yo bari nka kole akol soto management na karola menka ke budget wala karoti kodo buka soto.
But we always come across problems from the management, which is budgetary problems because we don't have money.
Mboto kono sang do sorta ma I remember, but I believe askeno 2019 or 2020 data tenda ba retreat la.
There was a year, I can't remember exactly which year, but we went to Tendaba for a retreat.
But we are mbota education kono already because council mol nata jube ka foko education mantra effective ring adum program mantra je ntela ma mango anin kamen kata council kolto especially kabula kodi kol noma anin council la tamanyalto council fona nata jube ka foko mbe bete ala kanana finance leto so inatana bondi je en sama finance then bidin dunda finance na activity follow kata tanda baltal.
Well, at that time, as far as the education committee was not active, was not very active, and there were a lot of activities that we should be carried out. So I later left the education committee. Then after leaving the education committee, As far as there were a lot of things which were going on about the finance committee, then I was admitted into the finance committee. And when I was admitted into the finance committee, the first activity I did was to go to tender bar.
Yeah, so before we proceed to hear what you have done at the finance committee, let me ask, for how long have you served as a member of the education committee?
Education committee Londo committee
sanji fulosi amantambe okana manjiko ka sinak.
I think it might be a little bit less than 2 years, but it is around that duration.
So which means it was more than a year. You said there were 4 of you. Who were the others?
Council mbedamentem biten si mokil ne remember no wolom youth rep nyinti alasan.
I can only remember one. I can remember only one member of that committee, the youth representative, Alasan, because I left that committee very early.
What is the surname?
Alasan Kontodu.
Alasan, I believe is Ngame Jallo.
I think the surname is Jallo.
And how were you appointed? Was it formal appointment or?
Yeah, Altad Nyadile. Aketa ikamolu ta nyamen do ko la nyamen kali safe later wala fodum aketa nyadi
wol do don nimmanke.
That never happened.
How were you appointed?
Sai alta nyadi
mbe chambers drong comme normal meeting o.
We were having a normal meeting at the chambers.
Yo agenda nyemu pour ka committee law, subcommittee law.
And the agenda was to form these subcommittees.
Yo subcommittee fanang ngaje molle ke fang
and forming those committees, I saw people were vying, trying to put themselves in the different committees that they wanted. And there were other people who were appointed at and told to be part of so-and-so committee. Well, I don't know those who were appointed to be appointed part of those committees. I don't know whether it is acquaintance, it is based on acquaintance or whatever. I don't know.
So who was the chairman in 2018?
Jumalom chairman not in 2018 Sankolo.
Ibrahim Jankosane.
Ibrahim Jankosane.
Do you know for how long he's served as a chairman?
Ya long I wati jeleke siranti yala je.
Ibrahim ngamira nae sanji fula nyonke nyokarne.
I think we worked with him for 2 years.
Now, in what capacity did you serve at the educational committee?
Londi committee on education committee itila makamu muneti je.
Chairman.
I was the chairman of that committee.
And what did you understand at the time was your role as the chairman of the education committee?
Itela fahamu rongu muneti ka foko wairi ntelom chairman ti sirantio nyim committee okono ila lodu la nyanta ila lodu la muneti. When I came to the council, I will try to clarify that point.
Janjanbureh area council ninko education.
Janjanbureh area council, when we talk about education,
staff all will that je.
The staff members are not part of it.
So ntebe futala tu moment nte moment tantela.
When I was arriving there, the intention I had was the school children of the region, how education was being administered there.
Council je
at the council
enene maita nintolla ka foko karangol member staff sol member kata karangola enyanda tambila nintolle mafongola.
We were never told that the staff who were there should pass by us. And in those years, they didn't show us anything. Nothing passed through us. So we were just sitting down, doing nothing.
Activity plan pour kata regional karamol visit ka long ibe nyadile.
The activity I planned also to go to the schools in the region and see what was going there. That never took place.
But I want to understand what your understanding was at the time when you served as a councillor.
Ako alaftalon na itela fahamuro mu munetinu wairi mbek imu councilor tinun inata ke siranti ila fahamuro mu munetinu ko ila lotan kaw mu muneti.
Ndela fahamuro mu mentinu wotumo wala nyinde donko.
My understanding at that time was
ndolle mata karango tamandinya ko la regional nyi mumela kam.
We were responsible for the administration of education, or for the education being taught in the region. It was our responsibility to follow it up.
In what aspect? Give examples. How are you supposed to carry out these functions?
Saying albodo ko kela nyadi le atella miroto.
Killing.
Follow. First,
miro mbentela wotumo.
What I was intending, what my intention was,
regional directorate
was to have the regional directorate so that I will be able to shake hands with them, to be able to do things with them.
Partnership.
In partnership, yes.
Yeah. Because I
also understood that I also understood that every year they go around to the schools to inspect so that they will know what is going on in the schools. So that was the reason why I wanted to be able to join hands with them so that we will do that job together.
I don't direct to
and the director who was there during that time was Mendy. I forgot his name, but I can remember the surname is Mendy. Up to 2 to 3 times I used to sit down with him, discuss this matter with him, and he was very excited about it if that was able to be done.
Who was the CEO at the time?
Chief Executive Officer.
Sambali.
Was he a member of the Education Committee?
Education Committee. He was never part of that committee.
Were you having meetings?
I tried my level best to be able to hold meetings, but it never took place.
Where was that?
Well,
I understood one thing at Janjanbureh at that time. It was only the management who were listening to, but as for us, they never listened to us.
Why do you say that?
It happened many times, especially during the first year when we came to Janjanbureh. We had many problems with the management about operations.
We? Who is we? Who are you referring to?
The councillors. The councillor.
He's talking about the councillors.
What kind of problems?
How they were spending the money.
How were they spending the money?
They spend this money on things and we will not be aware of it, and they will not even inform us.
Do you have an example of that?
Well, as for firstly, we have never seen Janjanbureh Area Council's account.
And how did you expect to see the account?
So that to inform management that they should also inform us or bring these documents for us so that we will see and know what is in those documents.
Did you at any time request for the accounts when you were serving as a councillor in the meetings?
Finance committee chairman. You move finance.
That was the reason why I was removed from the education committee and I was admitted into the finance committee. Because I always talk about it.
Right? We will get to the finance committee, but let's just exhaust the education committee first.
Akombe futala o nafulu committee o malebari londi committee o education committee ngaw fulo la kolu bo nyama ko.
You had said that it appears as if the management does not listen to you.
Yes.
Akoy nyum foko management ibukal lamoy.
I don't doubt that.
Well, among hakilu fula soto
Because we have seen examples of what you are saying occurring in the Janjanbureh area council.
ako katu yo santi ngulu ya nyonglu jele men ketanung area men keta area council je Janjanbureh.
But you have served as the chairperson of a committee.
Ako bari na take siranti oti committee okono chairman.
It's a very fundamental, very important committee, the education committee.
Ako ndu okuma ya tabakelo committee o men keta londo committee oti.
But you haven't had a meeting more than once.
Ako bari hanim bengo fango al nenamake.
How do you explain that?
Ako so ibo satano la nyadi le bem bukake.
Yalo bengo fanang Kenya la bala fenne kal futande bengo.
Well, meetings are carried for a purpose, and there is a reason for us to discuss something which will bring us to the point to have that meeting.
Nento la faka bengo ke.
When we always wanted to have a meeting, however we want to have this meeting, the people ahead of us who should have opened the way for us to have that meeting, if they don't allow us or if they don't give us the chance, we will not be able to have that meeting.
No, Mr. Foon, I would not agree with that. If you have a meeting and what you discuss in the meeting probably is not being implemented or be adhered to, that's a different story altogether. Then what you are saying will probably carry weight, but you don't have the meeting in the first place.
Aliye kumakango men kacha bengo to aliya futandi nyi molu may mal danko manso na ko Allah kumakango taala mo siofo ako bari bengo le fango bukake alisiku kacha no daming wala na kate o kumotala
lafa même femme la folo ebe bengo men na education committee bola maba.
Yes, he's asking whether it is the education committee.
Yes.
Bari ngo fo ne ko mambenke no.
Well, I've said that we've never had a meeting.
But you are trying to blame the management for you not being active while serving as the chairman of the education committee.
Akoyete lafta maralo bunda tumila kuolula andu wotumo itolon chairman nying education committee nyi londi committee o nyin kono.
And I am not saying that they are not responsible in any way.
Akama ntara fokanko wolfanalu kutelari ngekande akama ofode.
But from the records and from your testimony, if you do not have a meeting, that will be primarily your fault. Is that not the case?
Yes, I will not deny you. I will agree to your point. There is a point that I would like you to understand for me. How we are discussing, we will reach those points and we will clarify them. Janjanbureh, we have a problem there. We had a problem there. I said before that we as councillors, what we want to do, they don't allow us, it doesn't happen. It is management who carries out whatever they want to do. And during our first year, and that problem, we talked about it not only within the council, but it went out of the council premises. We discussed with people whom we have access to, or people who we should work with them out of the council. Those people were aware of this problem because we told them.
Yes, I understand that. And as I have stated earlier on, I do not doubt that. So if you tell us more about that, we will definitely appreciate it, and then definitely it will help us a lot to understand better how Janjanbureh Area Council was operating.
Wolem Janjanbureh Area Council betama kanu nyamin koluto ila kuketalu nila lotan kamuluto.
But do you not think that you are supposed to have meetings at the education committee?
Barila miro to fo alimanyam bengulu kela londo la committee o bunda la education committee la karola.
Wala nyanda kala.
Yes, that's what should have happened.
And that did not happen.
Bari ndungali wo manake.
Wo mutonyal.
That's true.
Are you familiar with the local government act 2002?
Mansa kunda ringolu la loi ila sarto men ye ça fait pour tarambulolu fo ye fahamule bang.
Nte wasula ka fo nga faham bakele but alhamdulillah nga do faham jere.
Well, I will not say that I understand all, but there are certain things that I am aware of, that I understand.
Were you oriented at any given point in time in 2018 when you served as a councillor, or did you have access to the act and you have read what your mandate would be as a councillor and also as a member of a very important committee?
Akofo aliyodo ko damra tumumena 2018 ya ali bondi ko lu kalamale bang yali kalamutandile bang yali fahamundile bang alla lotan kan lu nyanta kalamuneti walla fodum yebbu ko nyi sotonne buko yabe safering buko lu menuto foyo fanan sotonne wo wato la pour isalong alla lotan kan lu nyanta kalamuneti munimmu ali nyanta tamala menna fo wo ketale bang
ado ketale adumbe actionate nimbara lola bake.
Some happened, not all, but we thank Action Aid for that.
Action Aid le follow nata ndol mako ka londi ka fukaramo di mola na do ko tamandi nyato. It
was Action Aid which first came to talk to us and to teach us and to orient us about our job, what we should do. And throughout the job, Action Aid stood by us during the whole term. What they wanted to do for us, if they had been able to achieve that with the council, by then, today, Janjanbureh Area Council would have developed more than its present position.
That is very good on the side of Action Aid.
Yes.
But then I ask specifically because of the fact that you represent the people.
Yes.
And so if you are a member of a particular committee, you must know what your mandate is.
And
so the laws that govern you will tell you what the mandate of the what your mandate is as a member of the committee. And that is why I asked earlier whether you know what your mandate is, what your core responsibilities are as a member, or in fact as the chairperson of the education committee.
Well, na comment on ay nyininka atella lotan kan lu nyanta kala muneti alla tawaram bulo mu nyanta kala muneti sako ina tatara committee kumma kono memo education committee wala londi committee so alla taram bulo lu nyanta kala mentinum wala na comment on aya ko nyininka
education la karola mba fola ko tumado mbe kacalje kany ma faham moto faham.
Well, I will say that on the side of education we are talking about it, but I don't understand that part.
Mang education ma faham unemunna mandate na responsibility as the chairman or committee nyunkono.
I will say that honestly I don't understand what should have been my mandate being the chairman of that education committee.
Kantu na hakilo betilindi mfana mena.
Because what I was thinking about at that time, what I stated here before was how education was going on in the region. That's all what I was thinking of, and that's all what my intention was to follow up.
So the education committee has been clearly mentioned by the act. Local government act.
Adu mansakudari la ni sartolu ye kolu fole tarambulolu nyantolu men ya lonko londi committee ni nyanta lola wolleka.
And your responsibilities have clearly been spelled out.
Andu nyanta do kolu menukela ila tarambulolu be wo loi buko ni yo be fole ka seneyande.
Section 64 of the act says
bunda taworo ni nani njango wo sartolu kono ay nyine fo
that there shall be a local government education committee.
Ko committee nyanta soton na le masakundari la karola menu be marla londo kunyalu la nin karango
for each area council.
Area council bunda wo bunda nyanta o soton na le.
And they shall perform the following functions.
Andu nyanta bula la kolu menu no makeke.
And it refers you to section 63 of the act.
andu obe bunda taworo ni sabanjango la nyin kono memmu sartolu nyiliti.
Number one is to ensure that schools are established and operated in accordance with the Education Act.
Follow wala nyinti nyanta karambungulu lo la le ye tamandi sartolu kang me yalonko wolle nin kolu tata nyola memmu londo la sartolu tikasa feta nyami.
So let me ask, how many schools do you have under your jurisdiction at the time?
Akombat ngeni ka karambunjelle batella bunda kotono ngotumo.
Janjanbureh administrative area ban for Janjanbureh farm.
Is it only Janjanbureh town or is it the whole administrative area?
In administrative area, because that will be your jurisdiction. Is that not the case?
Akutundo nyimume obe katol be batelle la do kokono.
Ndo fonola.
That I cannot say.
How many schools do you know?
Ite karambunjelle long.
Because makati karambun saba nyom bijel.
That will be a little bit many. There are three at Janjanbureh, Sankule Kunda, Animindo, and Brikama Ba. They all have schools. Jareng.
So if you do not have meetings as the chairperson, you will not even see the need probably to even discuss whether there is a need to establish schools or not.
Woto altenyin sarto altenyin dalilo jela ko fo ali woto ali nyanta katalele pour ka karambundolu lo men yalon koy nyanta tarla tundo kan.
Do you understand that?
Yo fam. Yes.
The second responsibility would be
Allah lo tan kam fulanja nyanta kelamenti
to ensure that the establishment and management of council schools are properly monitored and supervised.
Ali nyanta jela ko karambulu menu lota menu la ko be council bulu yo karambulu la ko no masata ila kolu tamandinya e tiling ay saha andu yamaro nyanta tar la bulari nganoma.
Do you have council schools owned by council?
Fo ali karambulu soto le men yalon ko area council le martawol
na soton dandamalo.
If they are available, I am not aware of.
But Mr. Foon, this is the problem. How do you represent the people then?
Ako Mr. Foon nyinam kolea ko tisai be do ko kala mole nyadile.
Karambu me ndela tamo kono de council man karambullo.
During my term, council didn't build any school.
Even before you represent the people, as at the time you are representing the people, you must have this information. You must know. And on what basis are you representing the people?
Ako ni hanija ni be odatila nyanta lonna le foka foko wairi ite be lori molle ibe do ko ke kam molle wol be mu ko leti nyanta menu bolo nyoto ye fahamu yalo nyanta men kala ye ke ko long
council yalo wo be sone ano lante bulda men na hamme ko ni na tara o keta nyanu.
Well, that will be easier for me if what I wanted was I was allowed to do what I wanted. I will be able to see all the schools. I will know all the situation of all the schools. I will know how all the schools were operating.
No, Mr. Foon, I disagree.
Okay.
I disagree because I am not saying that the management was really helping you. In relation to you realizing your roles, understanding your role, and then performing your functions. But you haven't been made the effort in the first place. If you had meetings, you document these meetings and then you present it to management or the council or whatsoever, and they didn't do anything about it. That's a different story altogether.
Wobemulu menka kije menka foje alikabe ke kaito bala alikana o kaito chika aliadi maralo bundala wala management ni wolu man ko kundinta mandije woto tumwa be koyla lewko ateli alinyanta menkela aliyo kala mun ko be management.
That is the only point I disagree with you.
Akoje dron wala bundati anisi
sume.
Well, I understand you, and I'm not. What was my problem?
Janjanbureh Area Council Committee meeting numbang. Council meeting number.
At Janjanbureh Area Council, whether it was a committee meeting or council meeting,
activity menkela.
Any activity that you want to carry out. You can inform them about your intention, but it is left with management whether that meeting will be allowed or not, or whatever the activity will be allowed or not.
That is true, or that may be true, but only if you inform them. Only if you inform them. You were the chairperson or the chairman of the education committee.
Ako Tonya, bari natara ku keta aliyem bengolu ke aliye kumalu fo al nata o kibaro futandima kayri telum chairman telum sirantioti wo education committee kono ali kacata femfen ali kambenta la committee nyi nakarola aliyo futandi management man bitum sila tutawol lebulu nyanta menkela
yalonte menke kabrim man committee meeting sotono.
What I did since we were unable to have a committee meeting,
ning hamo membe na ngafo council meeting ne kono councilol be nyala
I voiced my intention during a council meeting to let them know what I wanted to do.
Yes. Mr. Foon, I just want to find out whether when you were appointed as chairman of the education committee, you were given a letter.
Akwala ftalo na labiri eta kai ke siranti oti olondi committee okono education committee for a letter or deal leba. No.
So you were not aware of what the act is saying and those people that are supposed to be members of that committee.
Andu woto wolem nyinti ko luwaye mem fo atella du ko la karola imalong wala imam bo kalama ani ini menu nyante tarlaji.
Ani molo.
No, I don't know.
Nengala tema molo.
Between me and Allah, I don't know.
So
or between me and God.
Who appointed you as the chair of the education committee?
Akojumale fonate tombon kai ke siranti oti wo education committee okon.
Okay. Okay, nyame.
How that happened?
Ngafo nyame other committees nyol tombo nya wol be tombondale.
All the other committees were selected. I was sitting down.
Sorry, was it at a general council meeting?
Yes. General council meeting. Yes, it was at a general council meeting.
So council will be from fixed dole point, dole from point, you know, ye tai dundo committee kono, dole be siri. Nga long fam faham ko, ntenga nyine sute ko maybe na londo manjam fan ni mel bijang mol sitara jam mel londo jam farante. So ngam fan to ko man be siri.
Well, when they were selecting these committees, some members put themselves in certain committees, others were appointed and told to be members of certain committees, but I was sitting, I decided to reserve myself until when those committees were all selected. We were only 4 people left who were not members of any committee.
And education committee and at
that time the only committee which was not formed was the education committee.
So automatically automatic member.
So automatically the 4 of us who were left behind became members of the education committee. This is how it happened.
So were there any minutes of that meeting generated after the meeting?
Wo bemba men keta wonya tombondirol keta dem fo yalo ka fo me minutes wala nimbenglu be ke kay ka men safe fo keta le bawo safe ro keta le ba.
Madam Chair, ye problem modo fana natna mem mu Janjanbureh area council la problem.
Well, madam, you've brought another problem which was a problem at Janjanbureh area council.
Nga among ke fam 40 but nale council will be command they will tell you this.
It's not part of trying to express myself, but I have tried my level best to be able to institute that at the council. Yakata.
Folla bang kelo mu labanda murlanka killing Janjanbureh area council kono mo be labanda ndamanetula lori.
They were all against me for voicing.
Now, Mr. I ask you a specific question.
Okay.
Answer, then you explain to me what went, whether it was done or it was not done. Because what you are saying, if a report is generated or there is a report of the meeting of that general council, we will be able to see some of these things that you are telling us. So, was there any minutes of this meeting that was held where these committees were selected?
Akaka memfo wala mnyintiko nimbengolu keta o safero lumen kake minutes ning wo kola lam nimmolu nata kolu wo kaytolu karang ikalo wutu mole ko nyinni ne fota jang nyinni ne fota yakobe lankenama akobari akamenyinin ka wolem wo general council bengo men aliyake wo nya fo ye minitolu safejele katu ninga tara minitolu safeta wo bengoto tumandolu telsi o kayto soto nole isa jube isa lom mun nimmune fotaje mun nimmune kataje jumani jumale mun nimmum fo
minitolu safeta le
minutes were written
minitolu jefana
but I never saw those minutes.
Thank you.
Akoy numbara.
Excuse me. Mr. Foon.
Yes.
Good morning.
Mr. Foon.
How long have you served as chairman of the Education Committee?
Ite wucheu menke chairman yala Education Committee onyenkono wati jellem.
Mang hakilo ta amutala baki wonya bari nga believe ka manta misanji fulala.
I cannot remember exactly but I think it was not more than 2 years.
What's your qualification?
Etela karango londo adanta mintole.
Middle school.
I stopped at a middle school.
Don't you think that was one of the reasons why you could not succeed in manning the Education Committee?
For Ebrima mira ufango be dalilo lukono le mune ya kendi imang nying Education Committee wala Londi Committee wala dukulu tamandino anyam.
Wasikeno womtonya.
Yes, that's true.
Have you ever supported any school in your area?
For dungal nene makoiro di karambunne le bang meni alonko wolle balla tundoka.
Council.
Yes.
The
As
council
chairman Education Committee?
No, it never happened.
Despite the fact that you have a school like Janjanbureh, Amitage, that needs all the support and help.
And karambungulu bije menu beko Janjanbureh sate ofong Amitage school, Amitage karambungu bije meni alonko be sulari makoiro la.
Okay. Regarding ning karambungula makoiro.
With the regards to the help that we should have given to the schools. That was a problem for Janjanbureh Area Council.
But at one time, the meeting be retreat program then PSBJ Bubasanyang.
At one time we had a retreat and Permanent Secretary Bubasanyang was attending that meeting. I don't keep quiet. What I say, I'll voice it out at any meeting.
PS engage.
We engaged the Permanent Secretary about the help that should be given to the schools.
Come from the schools.
And donations which come to us for schools.
But
what he told us was,
education
has its own budget.
So until final manya budget exhaust la nke batandi puru nka karamol hajol jara and wol final be ministry line on koto.
We shouldn't exhaust our own budget to help schools because they have their own budgets from the ministry line. So we shouldn't try to exhaust our own budgets on that line.
As a councilor.
But me as a councilor, I gave help to schools. Not once. And those were important aids to schools. I did that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, so let's proceed with what your mandate is in accordance with the Act. Now, you have also the responsibility to monitor and establish monitor the establishment and operations of all categories of schools, other educational and training facilities.
Ako nyimbala do kolti purka kolu no masata kay lamoy ila anin ka along kolu betama ka nyamin men keta karambul ni londi bunda ko tangoluti men ya lonko wolle balla maralo koto
to ensure compliance with national policy guidelines.
Pour nyin kamala asikoyal mako nyilu betama ka nyamin isonta sartolu lale man sakunda e sartolu menu londi.
So you have a very, very wide and meaningful mandate.
Ako amunta woto ela maralo do ko tamandi bunda kono fanuta bakele bari akumayata wole nyama fana.
Were you aware of any of the national policy guidelines in relation to education?
Ako foman sakunda yo sartol ni otarambulolu menu londi wonya londo nyinna karola londo tamando la karola foy bota yewlu kalangu ye lonne ban ye famu. No.
The fourth one
nani njango
is to encourage the establishment of income generating and skills enhancing projects.
Walam nyindi kanyin hammo dundi ka ferolu tamandi pour ka do ko lu londi men ya lonko wolu bekela mecho londi do ko leti ka molu londi mecho la men financi ke soto bulo fana yirwandi ramoti me meche façon lu fo
or programs in all schools.
Wala a programme lu nyanta menu kala karambulu beto.
Do you understand that?
Fo yo ya fahamu.
Asenkanya please.
I want you to repeat that point.
that you have to encourage the establishment of income generating and skills enhancing projects.
Albedo ko le datila ke tamandi menu be sotobulo yirwandila anim fana men yalon ko ibe meche londo fana yirwandila pour men yalon ko be jeesi o meche londo lu karanyam,
which means you will be helping schools
wala nyinti ko talbe karambulu mako ilale
to generate income
pour be sotobulo yirwandile fanguli nyaming,
or you come up with ideas
wala alnim miralo li futema
or programs
wala programolu
to develop
pour ibe menu kala ke yirwandi
and strengthen
anin ke sembentu ya
skills
men keta mecholu kenyati
in relation to the schools you monitor and
men tilinta karambungulu la men yalon ko lebati la maralo ko.
But did you know this at the time?
Ako fodum wato la yolu tamandile ban.
Eman tamandi no.
We were unable to do anything of that sort.
Council.
Yes. Proceed, please.
Council, council meeting
we discussed all what you have said at council meetings.
Council meeting because when I'm education to moment,
we talked about all this at council meetings because
that is the council meeting. That's the council meeting. You're only here because you have served in these committees. So these issues must be discussed if you have had meetings at the level of the education committee.
Ako bari ko ka follow dameng wolem alinyanta follow la kachaye ke alla londi committee olukono education committee
anyanta follow la. That is the importance of having these committees.
Ako dalilo le asabu committee olulota.
Ndenga mera sembo nyanda follow la council meeting na then sembo lebe nyanda sembo di la education committee nyina.
What I thought was that the power should emanate from the council. And whenever they agree to do something, then they come to us as the education committee, and then we will follow up.
Then there's a clear misunderstanding regarding what your role is.
Okay.
Because the council already appointed you as the chairman of the education committee. And as chairman of the education committee, you must steer the affairs of the education committee. How council will now act or react or try to perform its general functions in relation to what your recommendations would be?
Ako council bina kolu tamandila nyami be menkela ani nyanta kolu menu sababula wo membe dending wo londi committee ola chodir bundal.
That may be beyond you.
Asike wo yetambi itela lodu lala.
But first you must be active.
Bari follow anyanta alfanali nyanta kala bundal timenu si kukata.
And as the evidence is, you were not active.
Andun ko CDR yaitandi nyaming almantara kolu tamandika.
Ning wo minitol be funtila de me yalonko committee setta damen.
If you were able to lay hands on those meetings, on those minutes when they were setting up these committees,
the minute mem fana nata lawo kan e bayela nga katol menke pour kaje ka fako education committee e sino fa ka meeting soto.
The follow-up meetings that were held, if we are able to get minutes of those follow-up meetings after the general meeting, you will be able to see what was said and what we tried to institute.
Mr. Foon, don't give excuses.
Okay.
You did not perform.
Thank you.
It's as simple as that. You may have performed in other committees. We will get there and we will see what you have done. And if you have done your job, we will tell you.
Okay.
Maybe it was your first time being a councillor. But the bottom line remains the same. That as a chairman of the education committee, you failed to do your job. Is that not the case?
Yes.
Okay. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
He has agreed with that.
Now, any questions for the witness before I move?
Ako fo albenyinin ka fo benyinin kar soto leba jalna be tenten wala commissioner fo benyinin kala.
Yes, Mr. Foon, I asked about minutes, and you said that there may be minutes of that meeting.
Ako ayenyinin ka minitol o fo ka soto le ado iko minitol soto ntale Allah o bembanyinto.
In your statement,
you
said as the head of the finance committee that you had a meeting where you were trying to, you made some efforts actually, trying to do a head count of the staffs of the council. This that you tried to do, was it at a meeting that you held with your other 3 council members?
Education committee.
Finance ban for education.
He's asking whether it's the finance committee or the education committee.
It's the finance committee.
Ako finance committee wala na full committee onyi. Yes, we had meetings, and before that meeting, in fact, we first had a council meeting.
Were you the chair of the finance committee?
Ako fo eketa siranti otile wo na full committee okono.
Council meeting.
The finance committee. You were the chair of that meeting.
Yes.
And you you lamented about the issue of the report. That you were trying to.
Yes.
Now, is it not a fact that because the council did not have capacity, you could not generate the required reports that are necessary?
Ako fanyinte keno lako council nying ila sembo nasitale fole ya sababu bang ibukanyin kibaro lu council no nyi report lu menu nyanta dadala fo council la nasida wala yo sababu bang
mamira la diamo bandada ay bandi.
Yes, what I'm saying is that is it not because there is lack of capacity?
From
both the staffs at the management level and the councillors to be able to work as per what is provided for in the Act.
Menu be na fulubunda la ni menu be council bunda nyina fo ila do ko la nasida wole ya sabu alimankolu tembendi no ke kumben kanyanta kala nyami. Yes, I will not. Yes, what we are saying is the naked truth. I will not deny that.
Yes, because you have indicated a very important point.
Yes.
On the issue of the payroll.
Yes.
Because you have said you as the head of finance, you realized that there were a lot of ghost workers.
Yes.
And that task was given to an intern. And that is why I talked about the issue of capacity. Because it seems to us that you did not have the capacity to do the work, and the person that you gave the work to also did not do the job, and he left. And he ended up giving you an excuse. And you couldn't get the records. So you had to let that work hang. So you couldn't use the work to implement the changes that you needed to change. That is to say, to stop the wastage of funds by paying ghost workers.
Yenyu wasi nunko mo jama bije ikafole ghost workers meni yalonko ibgana do kola bari tobe suffering andun ikejo so fo fana mu dalilut me yalla kolu nasindi andu yako wasile bari hanim bi wo nyawnyanding akwo kese mambo jabatu so fo ko anin yemen foteng nasida membe councilor la karola anin naflu bunda la karola yalo yobe wasile yo kumam bonoje fodum wala natake koti men tenten tabang
mbela fraka diamo wo fanani na demanding
I would like to talk.
Fahamro kisiandi wo fanani na.
I would like to discuss something about that point that you've just raised.
Yo head counting ninje.
That head counting.
Amanke na sinya follow famati.
That was not the first time, in fact.
Head counting mentioned omu passes the time late.
The head count that mentioned was Passis's time.
But the first one on okay wado mena.
But the first one which was held, that was during Sambali's time. This second one we are talking about, I would like to clarify something there before we talk about the other one. When we started this activity, we went to the field. Sylvester, who was at the admin, we just asked Sylvester to do typing for us.
As finance committee and establishment joint committee.
It was a joint committee, establishment and finance committee. And it was not only for the head counting. This is why I asked establishment to join us. Let's include staff matters in what we were doing. Let's go and see where they work and know the situation where they were working. And places where council used to get money, we have to go and check those places. How they were and how they were operating. So that we will know at every market and at every lumo the amount of money that is generated, so that we will be able to know that amount every week or every day, so that we will know the amount of money that is collected. It was tough, really, but thanks to God, we were able to do it. When we came back, when we came from the field and the report was composed, because usually I used to stand to ask questions when we were doing the job.
So Musa Sawane, establishment na chairman.
Musa Sawane, the chairman at the establishment unit.
And Chendu Boy, ofanambe finance le.
And Chendu Boy, who was also part of the finance unit. These are the two people who were writing for us. But when we came back,
based on my first experience,
based on my first experience during Sambali's time,
because we report Musa Sawane nyoli adi fenkel Sambali la adi ala secretary ala banda fila Sambali na ala secretary tema.
Well, that report was given to Sambali, and Sambali gave it to his secretary, and later on we learned that the report itself was lost.
So this one ngambango atedina management mobile, so intern.
So this time I said it will not be given to any member of the management. So the intern, I remember I personally went to the intern and told him that don't give this report to anybody. When you are ready with it, hand it over back to me.
So, nata understand ko ate fana nata emergency phone call
because I traveled and I later came to understand that. When I came and asked for Sylvester, they told me Sylvester has gone. Then I said, how can Sylvester just live like that? He is having our report and it has not been completed. I called him on the telephone. When I called him, he told me that his term was finished and he had some emergencies whereby he has to leave as soon as possible. He said he has written the report, he has typed everything, it is in the system, in the computer.
So, nata management of an noma, purka access to computer naka afenke inadaita nako computer nyin crashed.
I went to management so that I can be able to lay hands on that computer so that I will be able to retrieve that report. What management told me was that that computer has crashed.
For the second time,
and for the second time, all what I did became zero. Myself and the committee.
It was painful, but then
it was painful, but we had no choice. There is nothing that we can do about it.
Councilor.
Yes, concerning the issue of Mr. Sylvester. What is his full name?
Mr. Sylvester. Atona Kontong.
At a very short time, like so Sylvester nka command wala ala first name molo. First name tomorrow.
He was there for a very short time, and everybody was saying Sylvester. So whether that was the first name or the second name, I don't know.
What was he interning us?
So at what was?
Okay, university Kabona World.
Well, these are people who come from the university and come to the council. I wouldn't know whether it will be right to say whether they are brought there for attachment.
But it can take a very little time, like then they go back. Maybe 6 months,
so they come there and spend a very little time and leave, maybe sometimes 6 months. And then it was only that batch, that was the only batch which came there, and no other batch came after them.
Was he attached to the finance committee at the time?
Finance committee.
No.
No. I was never aware of him being a member of the finance committee.
How many of you were in the finance committee?
Finance committee. We were 4.
Do you have the names?
Yes.
Please give us the names.
Ebrima Foon.
Myself, Ebrima Foon.
Were you the chairman?
Yes.
Chairman, yes, I was the chairman.
Please proceed.
Chendu Boy.
Nuha Jawara.
Lamin Kamara.
And Lamin Kamara.
Is that all you can remember?
Finance committee.
Yes.
Finance committee.
That's all?
Yeah.
So still discussing the issue regarding the payroll. This report, who prepared it?
Report.
The report.
Yes.
It was ourselves.
How many times did you conduct or write a report regarding the payroll?
It is signalem alka wo bengulu ke puruka reportol dada men tilinta mo nangamola menu kajo.
Is it once or twice?
Twice.
That assessment happened twice.
So the first one, you were explaining the issue of Mr. Sylvester was no longer with the council.
The second one.
That was the second one.
So how about the first one?
The first one
that the first one took place during Sambali's time.
Which year was this? 2019?
For 2019 Lomba.
Because you became the chairperson in 2019.
Okay.
Just confirm. Just tell us whether it's 2019 or.
When it comes to date,
when it comes to date, I have problems with that. Please forgive me.
Actually, while I was a councilor,
I was very busy at the council, and I was also busy like that at my ward. So this is why.
But I understand that. But then, if we were to, 2018, it was when you joined the council.
Yes.
As a councilor.
Yes.
2018.
Then you served less than 2 years. More than 1 year, less than 2 years.
Yes.
So in 2019 would have really met you to be either at the tail end of your period as serving in the education committee or working for the finance committee.
2019 batarla ebe education committee wa yo wato menki ya bandulato wala wayatara ya follow nyamen kutake.
So this assessment, please tell us about the first assessment.
Ako assessment ali yirka follow menke wo foye bang.
Na assessment following.
Our first assessment.
Often the same. Tata nga be fole nyim fulo kono jande.
Yes, I said.
Wultale wo Finance and Establishment Committee.
We got up the Finance and the Establishment Committee.
Wultan tata filo kono pour kata ka payroll nyin ka along. Nga payroll request from the Finance Department.
We requested the payroll from the
payroll
Finance Department. They gave us the document, paper.
Right? Yes. So payroll
when they gave us that payroll,
we used that payroll pour naita filo kono.
We took that payroll and went with it to the field.
When
we went to the field, I told management that
memo samba staff sol beya dulal beto ko finance ning establishment be wulikang kata head count in adon staff sol be nyanta momo ni njelale nyara.
Before we left, I told management to write a memo to all staff and tell them that the finance committee is coming with the establishment committee and we want to have, carry out a head count. We want to see each and every single member of staff so that we will meet them at their different posts. And I told them also, any member of staff, come with your documents so that we will know who you are and what your position is.
So, we went
to the field. We did all our assessments.
Maybe number don't remember but until assessment no first assessment
I cannot remember the number exactly, but the first assessment
council staff
we counted all members of the council staff.
It was close to 100 but not up to 100.
It was close to 100 but not exactly 100. It was less than 100. It was less than 100.
And the payroll, how many people will you have?
And on the payroll, it was about 150 or so, or more than that.
So you have probably 50 or more, or a little bit less, employees.
Ako wotumo aliyemo talulu soto wala asimanki wala wala esiawoti meni alon ko itola fataji.
Whom you cannot really.
The people that we were unable to see those people with our eyes. How that happened, when we were starting this assessment, I complained, even the first day when I saw this payroll, I told them that I don't believe that Janjanbureh Area Council has over 150 employees. Some said it is a possibility, but I said no. And because of this, we have to do an assessment. So I decided to follow it up. One day I called the establishment chairman, Musa Sawane, because I wanted this joint committee, our committee and his committee, to go together. I showed him the payroll. I told him, look at this payroll.
Payroll jube kan dorong atata fam badi mujeja ala name sekle fam mota atoma anobe tokilo fananto Musa Sawanel.
When Musa was checking this payroll, he came across a name, the same name as him, Musa Sawane, who was also a relative to him. He said, no, but this name Musa Sawane is not the Musa Sawane that I know.
He was one council but council.
Then he said, well, Musa Sawane I saw here, one time worked with the council, but now he is no longer working with the council, but his name is still here. I asked him whether it was a long time. He said, yes, this was a long time. And nowadays, he doesn't come here to receive his salary. Then I told him, now what I was telling you, you should believe what I was saying. We have to carry out this activity, which is the head count.
And that Musa Sawane was still being paid salary?
That's what the payroll showed. If they were not paying him, his name wouldn't be in the payroll. This is what I believed personally, because if your name is on the payroll, then you must be receiving salaries. But those who were terminated, their names are all taken out of the payroll.
That's true, but then This also goes to so many people as well who have been paid salary, and then they do not really, you can't trace them anywhere in the system.
Akonye manda wodam manna dolu fanal bijele meni yalon ko tobe payroll bala andu dolu kana yule joluta bari almeje no alia albe yiri karola tumo menal mo mari oluje
or let me say they are in the system, but then you cannot, they do not really work for, they don't even exist, and going by your statement, they are, so most of them are ghost employees.
This is what we believed.
Council staff will be bank line.
So that was it. That was what I believed, because we cannot trace these people, we cannot see them. This is why I believe that these people are ghost workers, and because of that reason, I decided that all staff should now join a bank, so that their salaries will be paid to the bank.
Did you write a report to that effect?
He's asking whether the bank or about the...
In relation to your first exercise, your first assessment?
Yes, we wrote a report.
Where is the report?
Somebody end up saying,
Musa Sawane and Chendu boy gave this thing to somebody. And when I was giving it to them, I told them, don't give this paper to somebody. But when they came back to me and told me that we gave it to somebody, I told them, but I told you not to give this paper to somebody.
But then where's your copy? You don't have a copy?
I said Musa Sawane and Musa Sawane and Chenduli, they do the writing, but I really ask questions and talk to these workers.
So we administration no makane.
We were following,
because Chendu Safero battle bulat le Safero kenum ani Musa.
Because
Musa konyoka reporo indi Chendula. Nganyel mo flow no manyawnya ni nyawo Chendu fana ngate malong ate manna ate lo reporto ate malong ay okadamen.
Musa Sawane and Chenduli, I followed them to be able to lay hands on this report. But what they told me was that they cannot be able to trace the report so that they can hand it.
Do you not think it was much more prudent to have a copy as the chairman of the committee?
Ako fo to moy manyi mira why ritelom committee on nasiran tioti ite nyante fansum copy o soton
na type ta fuka pare nyanta fansum copy soton.
Yes, if the typing was done and completed, I would have been able to lay hands on my own copy.
And then you are even supposed to have a file. The committee must have its own file wherein you also have all your copies in that file.
Ako nyanta file o fanan soton na la alikala kaiti kummalu ke file o men kono. That's true, but the thing is, no copy comes back to us. So this is
Mr. Foon.
Yes, sir.
You are the one because you are the one who is supposed to serve a copy to whoever you want the report to reach.
That's true.
So what you give, you must have. You must have a copy of it. Do you understand that?
Member na manuscript ni na report ni na statement o jube.
Yes, what happened? It is in the manuscript. That's what they take and give it to these people who are supposed to type the report.
Did you give a copy to the council, general council, the chairman at the time?
Ako foi copy the chairman of the general council wotemboba. Because it was not even typed. I was unable to lay hands on the written on the written document. This is why I was unable to distribute the papers to the certain people, to the people that I'm supposed to give.
But Mr. Foon, then who do you fault? Who will be at fault when you have done a good job? You have really raised out very important issues.
Ye kukende balu wulindi bari wato silam fodum toku ya tete fangale toti ning wo kolu manna ta anyama imake anyama.
Who do you fault?
Ako sila be juma le chodila
yalong doko kono responsibility bije me as a chairman ale responsibility lankanyan en sonda
me as
ni
a
mol fana be doko la ite responsibility ta doko ko wol fana le responsibility ta doko nyun kono wol nyanta wala doko kala le kayto futande tema ite fana nyanta la kayto futande la mol membe ma ya futande no wolma ni ngete bula safero le safero ke wo safero man futande ma yes
every worker has a responsibility according to the position you are holding. So the responsibility we did was to do the assessment, and that assessment, the document was given to these people to type, because it is their responsibility to type these documents and bring it to me so that I can distribute the documents to the people who are supposed to have copies. But it was the typing which was not even done.
That's true. Everyone has their own responsibility. Everyone should perform their responsibility. But then you were the head, and you are a head for a reason.
I tell them
and your primary job or function or responsibility is to make sure they do they perform their functions. Because if they fail, you fail.
I saw it that way.
And if there is no report because one of the members of the committee didn't type the report, is because you failed in your responsibility in making sure it is typed.
Akoka tuniaje wolumawo report olu safe hanfo ite asoto kadi molu la nyanta di la menula. You have done a good job. Bula la menu no ma kay dete hanfo ya do ko kay make itele ite.
You have done a good job in making sure you perform your functions by conducting an assessment.
Akoye do ku kendeke kata yirika rola kata dinkiralu to ka kibaro lu kensu. Bari ko nata tinya damin puru menu nyanta o kaytol de dal mambule no ma.
Do you understand that?
I
understand
that
capacity is a problem in Janjanbureh area council.
Just like what the chairperson said. Capacity is a problem at Janjanbureh area council. Even if you want to type a document, it's always a problem.
Must you type it? You see, if you can't type it, we understand the capacity. We understand it's difficult. We understand it has to be enhanced, and that we cannot disagree with you.
Ako ate te balanno lay bulu kukilna ko nyin safari lu menu nyanta nyin kaytolu didala ni wo safari lu ma ke no e mela do ko tamandino anyama nyanta kala nyami ako to de wo dinkira ite so lawto.
Okay, but you write, and if you write with your hand, those records will be there still.
Ako bari isi wuliya safe ibulola ifansi ibulla safero ke men keta nyami ning ayatara wol ma type itela wo bulla safari kaytolu wol betar la jele. Yes.
Do you understand that?
Yes.
Now, as the head of the finance committee,
chairman,
you spoke about bank reconciliations. That you were requesting for bank reconciliations. This is captured in the second page of your statement.
Yes.
The first paragraph. That we faced some challenges of management was not cooperating to avail the committee with bank reconciliation for verification. The management would claim that everything is posted in the IFMIS whenever the committee asks for bank reconciliation.
If Miss Massimo Membije Albedo ko men keka menna ye kolu nyil betale ye dundiwo Massimo nyinkono saying report ali FMFN do ku report la karola ibebo if Miss Massimo nyinne kono e kawle fo. Yes.
So how many times have you requested for bank reconciliations?
Ako sinya jello ya kanem puru bank la karola na ful tembendi ko kayitandi munimne be kering fo sinya jello yo kanin.
Seattle.
Yeah, that was many.
Seattle.
Many times.
I know a big council meeting.
And this all happens during council meetings.
Did you write?
No.
I
never wrote anything about that.
I mean, I see. In as much as I would like to commend you always, in as much as I would like to commend you always whenever it is due.
Yes.
You have to distinguish the two. You as a member of council,
council do kulalti.
And as the head of a committee,
and we not a committee nyaton koti fa.
And you have distinct roles.
And we lodu la flolu be fatatale nyante tamandile nyami.
So when you raise issues of financial concerns,
akoniena fulukolu diamo wulindi
as a councilor,
ko council la carola.
In council meetings,
council bengoluto.
It's quite different from when you raise issues as of financial concerns.
As
the head of the finance committee. Is that not the case? Do you understand?
I understand you.
So in this capacity, I am asking you questions in relation to you being the head of the finance committee. Yes, please respond.
What you said, I agree to it and I understand. What I want you to know is
as far as these things are concerned.
We cannot sit down and think as far as these things are concerned.
We cannot, please come again?
Okay.
What is
bank reconciliation?
When it comes to bank reconciliation, as you stated that we should write. That's right, we should have written those things. But there are certain things which prevents us from those writings.
Janjanbureh Area Council,
Janjanbureh Area Council, even before the advent of this IFMIS machine, that was the problem we always come across. And the ministry was aware of this problem.
Among Service Commission Kumba,
and the Service Commission was also aware of this problem.
Among National Assembly Select Committee on Local Government.
And the National Assembly Select Committee was also aware of this problem.
Because nini mo be nyola responsibility babble iteta ako iteta okela ina idung loi man sembo dile na sonka sako ina sikele.
Well, we always voice out our frustration to these various bodies that I name, because we cannot fight with them. We cannot keep on quarreling with them. What we can do is to voice this to the bodies who are responsible also for us. That's why we mention these things to those bodies that I name here. So this is why we realize that those people are more powerful than them. So this is why we explain to those people in those bodies so that they can also pressurize them to follow up what they should do.
Mr. Foon, that's true.
I'm not talking about other councils.
CEO iman silanda soto because inyanda silanda mella mel nyande tol tilinde iman sila wala.
So I went up to the point I realized that the CEOs are not afraid of anybody, because those bodies on top of them, they should be afraid of those bodies, but they don't care about those because if you report them to those bodies for even 100 years, nothing will come out of it. People who recommend them and bring them to us to work with us, we report them to those people. But they don't care, they don't take our word. Even if you talk to them how many times, they don't care, and nothing comes out of what they do.
So let me just ask you. You said those seniors, when they write, they will not even answer them. So I want you to clarify that. When you people write, because what we are seeing is that most of the time you just talk, you don't write, and if you don't write, it will be difficult for somebody to prove that what you were saying was actually what transpired at the time. It's only through writing that you will present evidence to say that, you know, I have orally made a demand. It was, for instance, it was not responded to. So I followed it up with a letter to say that this is my demand. When you don't have a response, people will know that you have provided evidence to show that you made this demand. Not only did you make this demand, but there is evidence to show that you've made it. So this is the problem that you people have. So you explain to us the relationship between your seniors and the ministry, so that we appreciate that some of these challenges also are not only limited to you, the councillor, sitting as a council, but there is also an issue at the level of the ministry. So I want you to explain.
Ila ko kibaro di molu la men be salto kubu kaboje hanni yesa fe fana buka jabir ke buka femfemfo ako bari ko ku momenti sedo wolem kaytoluti ni atelier ku mamandi me ya lonko ali ya ko kibaro di molu la ali nyanta fula menni wulman kuboje saferoke ni saferoke wolle be kala sedo luti kaytandi ko nyim ku karito ñin ni ñine keta barintel nga safaro kele a felenti nga safaro ke nga di kar nin kar la nga futandi dinkira karito bitun silang wo dinkira kar ya tuta wolle bulu puru ya ko no masata ya kututeje bar ni silang wo a telefonal manna safaro ke wota be kole yala le pour que sede kayto lu soton men ya lon ko le baytande la ko ñilde ye ñin ko wasile ando no man dan wasi o dambanna ina ta safaro kele biri safaro ke fanan kaytolu tatala anyanta futala damin wolle manna kututeje so silan ninga ko nata hanfa futata o tembe dato sai yala be kole yala le purka wo ko sede andi katu sede kayti man soto mune yo sabu mennu nyanta atelin mennu nyanta o safaro lu kala aliman safaro ke wolen koti
safaro ke dale 2018 2019 kana 2020 ka ministry ta fole man council la letterol soto local government service commission ta fole man council la letterol soto select committee will tamu every year they come to us every year ikana yale any ministry fanankana nyola director of governance kataraji.
Okay, so just a minute, please provide us with all the correspondences from 2019 to 2020 that have been sent to the ministry, so that we see what are the issues complained about and whether there are response to those letters. You mentioned 2019 and 2020.
2019 kana 2020.
Are there any letters
for later on?
And when did you leave, actually, just to add on to that? When did you leave council?
Council to Majumale.
2023.
2023.
So what about 2021 and 2022?
2021, 2022 lako benyadi.
Mina woldole nga follow 2019 la kanani.
I'll come to that. Let's start with 2019.
2019 later all.
2019 we wrote letters. 2020. Plus 2020.
You understand? So, but later on, I can only refer you to the vice chairman and the chairman. It was during their times. It will move Bay. They were the institutional heads. They were the people writing and correspondence. All
the written documents and correspondence were given to the chairman and the vice chairman. We write and give it to them so that they will follow it up. For 20.
No, I think we are getting a little bit mixed up here. He did not say he writes and gives to them. He is telling me to check with the chairman and the vice chairman.
Yes.
So what I'm asking is that he said there is writing. There were letters written or complaints. It could be anything. It could be letters. It could be complaints. I am asking him to avail us those complaints. Was it him and his committee members that wrote, or who were the people that wrote these complaints?
Allah complain, Allah wasi dalu aniwo later on. Ako juma nyolle safi atelle safi bang fodum dolle olu safi ikamen foko alkedi molla men yalon ko al nyanta dilela.
Complaino dolbe jewol botanna committee findings nyolle kon.
Some
complaint labanda silal as general council.
There are certain complaints which came from us and we pass it to the General Council, but later on we had to sit down and call for a meeting. During that meeting, during that meeting, it was agreed during that meeting that chairman or vice chairman, they should be writing documents and supporting documents so that they will be forwarded to the right places that they should go to.
Later kasafele na findings nyol finalists be safe. Complain about CEO Lombang or finance director Lombang.
So please take note, give him to take note and provide us with those ones.
Akobito la solo bekela wo kaytol le la karole si safe ibe sula la kaytol menula pour sa may kana nyina isaje isi fere ke wo kaytol la.
And please write and request for all those documents that you could recall from 2019 to January 2023.
Kabo 2019 kana January 2023 yo safero lu menu be keta isi fere ke wulu fana lay be soto no lu nyaming purisi wulu fana lu be kafu nyoma yenati be sulala wo kaytol la. He said okay.
Councilor, you may proceed.
Yes, so as the head of the finance committee, what were the major challenges you were faced with?
Council as finance committee.
What I can say here as finance committee,
challenges nyol membi je wolom nyindi kon mang space to purkana do ko keno feneti je menke gang.
The challenges we faced was there was no space for us to do our job.
Management bank reconciliation
Management was not showing the bank reconciliations to us.
And councilor
when I became councilor, I made a recommendation.
Then a council study we have capacity problem.
I studied the council and realized that we have a capacity problem.
Reliance partnership
we had a partnership with Reliance.
In that partnership, what UNCDF project
Reliance what?
Reliance
Financial Service.
Reliance Financial Services.
You had a partnership with them?
Yes.
Do you mean the council or the committee or what?
No. Council ni partnership ke for committee.
No, council ni partnership partnership ni
we found that partnership there. It was the council which had a partnership with them,
right?
And we found that there.
So you will continue. I just have to make sure I ask some questions.
What was
the nature of the partnership?
Okay, UNCDF project launching.
What I can remember about that was UNCDF about the beginning of the launching of the project.
Reliance with Q money.
I saw Reliance there with Q money at that launching.
So in that project,
I think it was during that launching and during the project, that was the time when they formed this partnership.
So do you know what kind of partnership?
Partnership member or launching in the Karola project pro dokulal cash for working and project word sol fanala phone sol.
The launch, what I understand about the launch, that launching was that for workers, cash for work, and also projects that they are going to carry out for the people.
Funds Reliance.
And all the funds should go to Reliance.
Okay.
So percentage of Q money for Q money menjola.
And there is a percentage Q money for Q money.
What's all the funds will be at Reliance.
All funds from the ward so go to Reliance.
Cash for workers for Jol.
Cash for workers also.
There is a percentage a bega do Reliance, but percentage BJL Q money.
All go to Reliance, but there is a percentage which goes to Q money.
Is Q money, is it a company? Q money?
Q cell.
Q cell. Okay. Please proceed.
Help me where I stopped.
You were explaining with respect to the partnership that they have, that you found on the ground.
Very good.
Partnership
very good. Bring us study council council capacity problems.
After looking at things, I studied the situation and I realized that council has a capacity problem.
Finance committee but the whole council be a katale back from na finance department regulate la nyame amankeno.
It was not only the finance committee, but the whole council. We all tried to regulate the financial operations of the finance committee, but there was nothing possible.
So not a menke reliance was it all.
What I did was, at that meeting, I appealed to Reliance. I don't hide things. I told them I understand that this company is belongs to the citizens of this country. And I believe that there are people among you who are from this region.
Beyond that.
I want our partnership to go beyond what is happening here.
Finance department because
I told them what I want is for you people to come and help us at the finance department, because that's where we have this problem. If that place is good, council will work properly.
So
they didn't refuse. They said that will be a good name for them, and it will be exciting for them to be able to be involved in the making of the council, or helping council to be able to regulate their financial situation. That will be very good for them. They were happy about that. But they told us on condition.
Mr. Foon, do you, that partnership, do you have any agreement? Was there any agreement signed between the council and Reliance and Q Money?
Allah de nyomaya fo kamben kaiti soton tale men da data signta Reliance and council ning Q Money tema.
Please note and provide us with the agreement.
I believe those documents are there.
I see it's 1 o'clock. Do we proceed?
It's 1 o'clock?
Yes, 12 to 7. May we advise whether we proceed or we can stop? The secretary has just indicated that we should stop here.
Yes, we are sending back the signal too.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson.
So we'll come back after the break.
ya dinale ya dinale.
Good afternoon, Mr. Witness. Welcome back. May you kindly take your seat. Mr. Witness, for continuation of your testimony before this Commission of Inquiry into Local Government Councils and related matters, may I remind you that you are still under oath. Okay, Madam Chair, I hand over the witness to you for us to proceed. Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Foon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You are welcome back. Council, can we proceed?
Thank you very much. Mr. Foon, it's good to have you back. Yes, so we're discussing the Finance Committee. Now, I was asking about the main issues regarding the Finance Committee during the time you were there. Now, let me ask whether you, during your time, whether you had access to the audit reports.
Only once.
Which year was that?
Sanjumalo Woti.
2019 or 2020.
It will be either
somebody that time.
Either in 2019 or 2020. During somebody's time, and that's how it happened.
Yes.
We were at the council, we don't get those reports.
So,
in that year, auditors came there to do auditing. I saw somebody among the auditors who I was acquainted with for quite a long time ago. We recognized each other because I knew him through somebody else.
So, Finance Committee chairman.
We were chatting, and during the time we were chatting, he came to know that I am the chairman of the Finance Committee. He asked me certain things which they wanted answers for. Among those things, he asked me about the minutes. He asked about minutes. I told him that we have asked about a problem here, which has been here for quite a long time, because we've quarreled, we've discussed this here several times, but we don't get minutes, our minutes. I also told him that we don't see the audit report. Then he promised me, now from this one you will now have your own copies.
So what copy
then he after the whole thing he did what he said. He gave me the copy, and I think in fact our writings showed that. And the evidence is in those audit reports. We wrote them and sent them.
Audit report ministry follow up through management
whatever turned out to be our problems in that audit report, we wrote it all and sent it to the ministry. Then we made follow-ups again to show what is existing.
So kumala suto yakama audit report mentenyaje omukilinda manet.
To cut matters short, we saw only one audit report.
Which year?
Sanjuma.
I believe kabekala 2019 or 2020 let.
I believe it must be either in 2019 or 2020.
Mr. Juf, you have to be sure.
Foon.
Mr. Foon, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
you have to be sure.
Do
you understand? How often were you sitting?
Allah siwo akake wati ni wati jumaliti kasi ka benguluke.
Janjanbureh area council na ta meeting on la Karola. For general council meeting number for committee lumber.
Finance committee.
Nkawo follow bele for sign.
Janjanbureh area council, whether it is the general council meeting or the finance committee meeting.
Nasio abukasiano komin laftala nyame.
We don't sit as much as we want it.
Are you saying? Please proceed.
Because na hani council meeting nin la fala ngara wadol modern akasia carfulati ma meeting okay.
Even council meeting, sometimes it goes beyond 2 months. We don't have a meeting.
Ngatra management no mambe force la nibe jiti jatala nyoti.
We follow management. We talk to them. We argue with them just to have meetings. All that before we get a date from them to have a meeting.
You are saying even the council does not sit for more than 2 months sometimes? Is that what you are saying?
Yes, that happened.
And who do you blame for that?
Well, that blame is on all of us because we are all part of that same council.
Because
but we try, although it's not possible sometimes, but we try to have meetings and we tell them, because we also have issues which we would like to bring out during meetings. But that's always when we continue pressing them, it takes time, but that's what compels them to allow us to have a meeting.
But Janjanbureh area council na meeting la Karola. Nim management lafta meeting meyeke. Because if I communicate,
I will not hide. Janjanbureh area council, when management wants to have a meeting, that meeting will take place as they wanted because they will come and inform everybody.
How about the finance committee? How often were you saying?
Finance committee for the same thing.
Finance committee also the same thing.
Why was that?
Often be at a problem
the same problem.
It is not so meeting will be all manna.
When we ask them, they don't mind. Sometimes there are certain meetings which don't have any use. The things that we should audit you for. Well, if you don't provide those things for us, well, what then is the use of that meeting? And to make things, to bring things newly, those things that we demand from them, they don't agree to give it to us.
Ministry or local government select committee area council.
We don't hide this. We always inform the ministry and the select committee because every year they come to us. So we inform them about these things.
During director of governance
I want to mention somebody, director of governance during his time.
Mr. Foon, I think the question you were asked, we would want you to go straight and answer the point, not to give stories, because if not, we will lose track of understanding your answer to that particular question. So you just answer the question. So that we appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Foon.
Yes.
Mr. Foon.
If you don't have access to the audit reports, how will you do your functions well as a committee?
That's it. We cannot do our job.
Are you familiar with the Local Government Finance and Audit Act 2004?
Ako local government wala man secondary la sartolu menu yelandi na fulo doku tamando la karola fo yolu faham le bang yelon
wo mang mang opportunity soto pour ko kono jube ka karamba ke nga buko soto nenu.
I didn't have the opportunity to learn those things or to read them, although I got the book before. But the book, what happened to me?
Finance and Audit Act and Decentralization Policy.
Finance and Audit Act and Decentralization Policy.
Brim futata council kutake nga misunderstanding tata ni management otema, especially the chairman ngata so nga obuko diala. When
I went to council newly, there was some sort of a misunderstanding between me and the chairman. Then there was a time when I gave him that book. I didn't give it to him, but I just lent it to him.
So if you look at section 24 of the Act, subsection 6, it talks about the accounts committee.
Control committee or accounts committee.
Even though the local government act talks about the finance committee.
Local government act
So basically, sub 6 tells you that that the committee shall examine the reports of the Auditor General. The internal auditor.
And
any other reports in relation to the finances of its council. And may, in relation to the functions, require the attendance of any councillor or officer to explain matters arising from the reports. Do you understand that?
Yes, I understand that.
Was this being done?
It cannot be done.
And that report, you should submit to the council,
the
Secretary of State or the Minister, as the case may be,
Secretary of State or Minister,
responsible for finance, and the Auditor General. So you have a very, very wide mandate. But you don't do these things.
He said that happened only once.
When was that?
Because that audit report, we went through and Tatala and Bulata kono be jube auditor la movement and evidence all men funded.
That audit report, we went through it and saw and looked at the evidences that we found in there.
Saferol fanal natake.
Then we wrote.
Councilor Safero ke ka key ministry.
Council wrote and sent it to the ministry.
And in Service Commission.
Plus the Service Commission.
Because I am referring
to the Finance Committee. What you have done at the level of the Finance Committee. I keep on reminding you.
Finance Committee.
Okay.
It's about what you have done as the chairman of the Finance Committee.
Okay.
And not just in your capacity as a